$250 a month. Visit us at CrystalRaySt.Viator.org and get started today.
This sports update is brought to you by the NBA Summer League 2024, July 7th through the 17th at the Thomas & Mack Center. For tickets, go to NBAEvents.com or call 702-739-FANS.
Kickoff times have now been released for all 6 of UNLV football home games in the 2023 season. It'll all kick off at Allegiant Stadium September 2nd at 1 p.m. versus Bryant. For a full list of all the home teams' times and dates, go to UNLVRebels.com.
You're listening to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, rolling on, getting ready for Stanley Cup Final game number 3 with VGK in South Florida. I better say Sunrise or Lauderdale. Willie is very protective of South Florida for some reason. It's very weird. Steve Levy from ESPN was out here in Vegas. He's now down in Florida. Steve, I saw you tweeting earlier about the heat is 90 in South Florida, a little different than Vegas.
Yeah, it's a different kind of heat, right, guys?
Yeah.
Not 100, it's 90. It's totally different, yeah.
I could go down this path in one of your tweets about soup and do like 15 minutes on it, but what was going on with the hot soup today?
It's just I happen to love hot soup, and so regardless of how hot it is outside, I don't drink iced coffee either. Like, I'm just a hot coffee, hot soup kind of guy. No gazpacho for me, you know.
So great. First of all, I'm like hot soup lunatic. Will you ever return soup if it's not hot enough? Or I try on the front end to go, please nuke it beyond belief, like where you wouldn't believe anyone could eat this soup this hot, please.
Yeah, I have sent some soup back, and my thing is I always say dig deep, right? You go down deeper into the pot. Yeah, you get the hottest soup, especially like chowder. With chili, like there's nothing worse than lukewarm or cold, right in the middle. It screws all day.
Oh, it's the worst. One more story from my side. I'm actually a Northeast guy like you are, a New Jersey, New York guy like you are. I worked at Monmouth Park as a concessions guy, and believe it or not, in July I worked the soup stand, and we had some hot soup. These guys like hot soup. They demanded it at the track.
Did you have any customers? You make any tips?
Yeah, no, the whole job was tips. Oh, they loved it. If the soup wasn't hot, I wasn't getting tipped. But I got tipped.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Hot soup.
There you go. All right, let's set up game number 3 here. First of all, give me your impression on what you've seen in these first 2 games, and especially the last game. I mean, it just turned into a freaking blowout here. It has all the makings of a sweep. I don't think it's going to be a sweep.
Yeah, it has all the makings now. I really thought the first game, and I might be in the minority on this, I thought the first game was a coin flip. You know, the empty net goal was misleading. Florida gets the late goal in the second. And it's 2-2 going to the third. I thought that could have gone either way. I thought Sergei Bobrovsky played well enough to win that game. And Aiden Hill was a little bit better. Florida had a bunch of posts in that game, too. And then it was total domination in game 2. Looked like Vegas Florida didn't even belong on the ice with Vegas. And, I'm surprised a little bit by the style that Florida's playing. I think they're admitting that they can't keep up on straight talent. With Vegas, and that's why you see after the whistles all the scrums, all the cross checks, the slashes, and those kinds of things. And Vegas is not buying in. So I talked to Petrangelo after the game. I said, what's the biggest key? He said, the discipline. They're getting punched in the face. They're not punching back, and then they're scoring on the power play. They scored 2 power play goals in each of the first 2 games. So I think that's really the difference. And look, we don't want to overreact, right? We're prisoners of the moment. As we get older, our memories aren't that good, so we grasp onto the last thing we do remember. And the series feels like it's 3-0, but it's really not. It's just 2-0, and Florida hasn't had a home game yet, so we'll learn a lot more tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah, and to that point, Steve Levy with ESPN joining us on Cofield and Company, ESPN Las Vegas. You were in the studio, right, during the early portions of the playoffs, and you saw firsthand, watching, observing. Florida was down 3-1 to Boston, which was unreal this season. So as good as Vegas has looked, and as good as I keep hearing from people saying, responding to Matthew Tkachuk's comments about, let's not forget we've been really good at home. They're like, yeah, well, Vegas has been really good on the road. So was Florida. Florida was really good and dominated the first 3 rounds on the road. So just because Vegas did doesn't mean they're going to go into that barn. What can they expect when they go into Sunrise?
I think you look back at the last series even. The Golden Knights were up 3-0 against Dallas and couldn't close them out right away. So, I'm sure Paul Maurice, the Florida staff, they're looking at all that stuff. The fact that, Vegas might have taken their foot off the pedal up 3-0. You lose game 4, you lose game 5, and all of a sudden it feels like Dallas had a little momentum going into that game 6 at home. And, of course, Vegas, was able to win that game rather handily. So, look, there's numbers you can look at. There's experience. There's factors on both sides you can look at. I think the standout piece here is the goaltending. I thought if Florida had an edge, the biggest edge, I thought it was Bobrovsky in goal, and I'm so impressed by Aiden Hill. You guys obviously know all about him, but nationally, I'm still not sure everybody knows. The 5th goalie Vegas has used this season, unrestricted free agent after this season. Guys bounced around the last few years, and I think he's in the Conn Smythe Trophy consideration. He has to be for what he has done for Las Vegas. So to me, it's Vegas wants to keep doing exactly what they're doing. They don't want to change anything. And for Florida, there's no miracle here. There's nobody coming to the Panthers' rescue. If he was good enough to be in the lineup, he'd already be in the lineup. So they're not going to add anybody there. They just need their top-end players to play a little better, and you could start with that. You could chuck right there.
Once again, speaking with Steve Levy from ESPN, joining us here at Cofield Co, ESPN Las Vegas. Speaking of the Conn Smythe, I was a little baffled before this series started because Vegas was favored to win it, but the 2 favorites to win the Conn Smythe were Bobrovsky and Tkachuk. And then it was the Golden Knights fell in line. Now, after 2 games, it's Marchessault and Aiden Hill. Marchessault has been playing out of his mind.
Yeah, 12 goals in 12 games, and that's after a really slow start, not having any goals in the first 7. I think where the NHL gets this right and the other leagues don't do it is the Conn Smythe Trophy is, as you guys know, is for the playoff. It's all 4 rounds. Most valuable player, the best player in all 4 rounds. In the NBA, they give an MVP of the finals, right? There's a Super Bowl MVP, World Series MVP. But hockey likes to be different, and they do it on all 4 rounds. And so you could, that's how you got Bobrovsky and Tkachuk because of their play in the first 3 rounds. And Vegas is much more of, I think, of a team with the depth, rolling 4 lines, game-winning goal from White Cloud, so all 6 defensemen chip in. I think they're just so much deeper, but maybe not a standout singular guy. Now, all of a sudden, we're 2 games in, and guys have started to stand out. And Marchessault is certainly the big example with the 12 goals in the last 12 games. Hill, Eichel, no question. But team depth is a big piece here. And, again, so impressed with what Vegas does. I'm a huge fan of Bruce Cassidy. Must have been really tough for Butch to, force that of Boston and then see the Bruins have the best regular season in history. And now he's close to getting the last laugh here, 2 wins away.
Why do you think Butchie, as the people close to him call him, why do you think Cassidy is such a good coach? Why has this worked?
I don't know. I don't have the answer. I think, everybody looks at the same tape and the X's and O's. And in hockey, there's just so many things you can do. Do you want to send an extra forechecker in? Do you want to play, have the forward playing up high? Where are you putting your player in the bumper position on the power play? Like, there are only a handful of things you can really do technically, X's and O's. So I think it's about people. I think it's about how you motivate. And, I think Bruce Cassidy wore out some of not just the veterans, but the younger players in Boston. And, after a while, you just need to hear a new voice. And you hear a new voice now in Vegas. And by the way, Vegas' coach last year, Pete DeBoer, he had a pretty great season in his first year in Dallas, too. So I think some of that is the players, like kids in school, right? After a long year, you tune out your teachers a little bit, your professors or whatever grade you're in, teachers. And I think that happens in pro sports, too. And so normally you get a little burst, a boost from a coaching change. And Cassidy's really had a nice impact, a nice effect on these Vegas Golden Knights. Now listen, let's check back in 5 years from now,
right?
And we'll see if they're still listening to that same voice. But for right now, both head coaches in this series done a great job. I'm a Paul Maurice fan too. Guy's been behind the bench 25 years as a head coach in the NHL. Still hasn't gotten his kick at the cup or can or whatever you want to call it. And I'm kind of rooting for him personally in this kind of case too, after all these years. And he's up against it now, down 2 games to none.
Yeah, to the point about Cassidy and, communicating and working with certain players, there were some people who thought, hey, Jack Eichel coming to town maybe this mix isn't going to work. But, I mean, whatever both of them have done has worked here. Did you have any doubt that Eichel could come here and, become a top – he already was a top-notch player, but kind of take it to the next level and be, a full ice player, a consistent player every game?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I didn't know. He came in with such high regard, number 2 pick overall behind, just Connor McDavid, who was, all worldly. I expected more from Eichel earlier. And listen, the Buffalo situation he was in was a mess. I mean, top to bottom, coaching changes, issues in the room, lack of talent. They gave him the captaincy way too early, all that kind of stuff. And that was a really bad situation. So I never knew. I didn't know what kind of player he was going to become. Was he going to become an upper echelon, outstanding scorer? And quite frankly, I think I expected more points out of him, but maybe not. Did not expect him to be so good in all 3 zones. So he's kind of surprised me in a couple of areas. We went in there in March. I think he's Vegas' leading scorer. I think he was like 75th in the league, right? So Vegas has a great team. They're the top seed in the West, and their leading scorer is like 75th in the league in scoring. So, again, that just gets back to the depth. You think Eichel is a 100-point guy, and maybe he's just going to be a 70-point guy, but can he give you all 3 zones? Can he do everything? Can he match up against the top player? He's gotten physical, too. He's gotten dirty. He's gotten gritty in the series, too. Yeah. I like to see that. He's really looks like he really become a complete player. People forget he played 500 regular season games without ever playing in a playoff game. So this is his first postseason action, and it's an entirely different game. It's a separate season, and I think we've seen Eichel grow as the rounds have gone deeper.
Steve Levy's with us. Let's wrap on this. So we got moles all over town. We've both been here, 25 plus years. We hear that Steve Levy is a Vegas guy. Like, you like Las Vegas. Do you have a spot or two where you're like, hey man, that's my spot to kind of, I'm ready to rumble?
I really love the town. Yeah. I'm a massive fan of the whole place, and I'm one of those guys who can go for a week. Now, listen, I'm not in the club till 4 in the morning. That's not my thing, But I can go to bed at 1 or 2. I consider Carrot Top a personal friend of mine. He's in my cell phone. I'm very proud of that.
Is that right?
And I like the show's great, and I like to bounce around. I just do. And I love everything about Vegas. And I lose respect for people who don't like it.
Exactly.
There's nothing not to like about the city. And gambling's not your thing. There's plenty of other things you can do and not gamble a single dollar and still have a great time. So the bosses at ESPN know any event at ESPN, I got my hand in the air. I'm really glad.
I'm glad to hear you're friends with C-Top. Last time he came on with us, we were we're doing live radio, and he cursed I think like 17 times. Our dump machine just exploded. So. And he's not
only 17. Huh? Can he take his shirt off or not?
It's funny because I also have a connection to Scott. The last time I went to a show, he was nice enough to invite me and my girlfriend's the connection up to his dressing room. I walk in, he's shirtless, and I blurted out, I'm like, what's going on here? I didn't know. It's like a freaking pose off. I'm a dumpy fat guy, and he's sitting there flexing, throwing down a couple shots before the show. He's a unique guy. Let's just say that. Real unique.
Yeah, and he's ripped. He's cut. He puts in the work. Yep. Take that shirt off. Yep.
All right, now listen, Steve. Today is, I don't know if you know this, today is National Tailor's Day, and I coincidentally happened to do an off-day feature on the Golden Knights and their suits of choice when they walk up. So don't forget to relay the story that I told you about you and Barry Melrose and me and Arash Markazi up. I can't wait to hear the feedback. Okay. I did. Oh, you don't know that story? Okay. So Arash, the first year Stanley Cup, we had just gotten close. We went to see my uncle's show. We went to Piero's for dinner with the whole thing. Right? Yep. So he says to me, I want you to meet Barry Melrose. I got to introduce you to Barry Melrose with one of your suits on. Coincidentally, we get up to the top floor to the press row, and who comes walking by as we get up there by the cooler? Steve Levy and Barry Melrose. Nice. And Steve looks at Barry and goes, now that's a suit. How come you don't have a suit like that? And Barry goes, I do have a suit like that. What are you talking about? Let's go. And they go, and he storms off and Ross goes, I think he was really mad.
Barry's got a closet of those kind of suits. Willie, you're a well-dressed man. You are.
I appreciate it.
Steve, we appreciate the time. Real big fans, and we'll talk to you soon. Enjoy the rest of the series.
Okay. Thanks for having me on, guys. See you soon.
There he is, Steve Levy. By the way, I guarantee we're going to talk to him soon. We may not talk to him for 5 years. I don't know. Should we have just booked him right then? All right, Steve, we'll call you on Friday.
I kind of